Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jeremy, founder of QuickMail for episode 300. No, sorry. Go ahead.
300. Holy cow. Yeah, this has been Jack, Chief Lead Generation Officer at SalesBread. Wow.
300.
300 times we've done that, Jeremy. Pretty cool.
So I want to make it clear straight away. This is not an episode about helping you to get better at cold email. This is the episode 300. I mean, we don't do that very often, at least only just once in life, because obviously. But it's just going to be Jack and me just talking memories here, behind the
Yeah.
scene, what
It,
happens, stuff fun like that.
a bit of a victory lap, if you will, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Victory
Okay.
Life is a good one.
Yeah. So,
No trusty
I mean,
timer today.
I love it. I mean, first of all, Jeremy, here's the question. Did you ever think episode 300 would come?
No way.
Imagine,
Not a
right?
chance. Not a chance. When I started, like, did I really think will be how many years? Like, what's 300? Like, divided by 52, right?
April 17 was when we created the idea for the show.
Shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And June 17 was our first episode.
June 17, 2017.
Yep.
Man,
And
that's a long time ago. How do
do
you
you remember
have?
the topic? Do you remember the topic?
What is cold email? Oh, is cold email spam or something like that?
Yeah, it's called email
Yeah.
spam.
But
Oh man.
do you remember? I remember because it shocked me. But do you remember how many minutes of work did we put for any minutes of the audio?
Output.
Yeah. Do you remember?
It was something outrageous. And if you've been a long time listener, by the way, reach out and tell us. You can shoot an email to podcast@quickmail.io and say hi. I do like to connect with the long time listeners. But it took a disgusting amount of effort to produce a 10-minute show.
I tell you, it was an 8 minutes per minute produce.
It was it?
Yes. So imagine 10 minutes is already 80 minutes of work, right? Just to produce the show. we were like, you remember, like, it was only audio, by the way. It wasn't like YouTube at all.
Right.
Remember?
Right.
And it was.
I do remember that.
Oh, but no, this word is not exactly correct. Let's rework it.
We would script out each episode, top to bottom, including questions, answers, punctuation. It would have a Google Doc, and you know what
and
I'm going to do.
It will be reviewed. Like Jack will correct some of my words. I would correct some of his words. It was like nightmare.
So in fact, I remember this again. Skip ahead to other episodes by all means if you're here for actual, cold outreach tactics. But I remember we had a full session, 2 hours that would dedicate for script writing, right?
Yep.
And then we would have another one where we'd hit record and we would piece things together. We'd have so many different files.
Yeah.
And then we would publish to our starter audience, like it was a small crowd. But kudos for us for keeping with it. And more importantly, figuring out a format that allowed us to start having a lot more fun with the episodes, I think, Jeremy.
Yeah, I think episode 300 or like the last episodes were probably the most fun to build. I think the first episodes were was it about like 10 minutes or 30 minutes or 20 minutes? But you can imagine at 8 minutes, like, 160 minutes of preparation to get the episode. Or more.
So I remember we had this discussion early on where we were like, all right, you know what we hate? Shows that drag out, that just waste your damn time.
That's right.
I just want to have a show that says you're here for answers. Well, here's the first one, here's the second one, here's the third one.
Yeah,
no fluff. That was from the beginning.
That was the theme. Yeah.
And then we also threw out an early example for us was a startup chat. And we're like, these guys just hit record. Some of it's good. A lot of it's ramble and just where are you going with it? Let's do the opposite. And for the first, I don't know, what do we say? The first 30 episodes?
Oh, even less. I don't think we lasted so long doing scripting everything. Probably 10 episodes.
Right. We couldn't have. So, okay. So for the first 10 episodes,
maybe 20, maybe
we thought the opposite was like complete control over every word. And
Yeah,
if
we
you're
wanted
thinking
it
about starting a podcast,
super.
that's a great recipe for burning yourself out and quitting a show after your first month.
Yeah.
So what changed? Like, do you remember what? I think we were at a breaking point. We're like,
yeah, we were
God,
like,
this is a
it's
lot.
not gonna work, guys. You know, it's like it's not sustainable. We can't keep doing that. Plus, we didn't have fun. I remember, like, it was like, man, this is not fun. This is like dreading it, right? So something had to change, and we changed it, right?
Thank God. Otherwise, we would have said goodbye after, maybe 6 months of episodes. We said, oh, cool. We got a little library of stuff you can check out. It would not be sustainable. And so it's kind of interesting. We went from no fluff, and I'll give us credit. We haven't strayed from that, but the exciting, and I'm going to say rare thing, it's like, how many people do you get to work with for 5 years and still like want to keep going? Like that's pretty unique. So I don't think I've ever asked you, Jeremy, like, what's going on here? Why do we stick around?
I don't know. I'm dreading coming back and seeing you every week. No, I mean, I think this is exactly the point. Like, I'm like, we're not like a massive show. We don't have like millions of followers. We are very niche. We're doing like one small thing. I'm honestly having a blast, and that's the only reason why I do it, right? There is more powerful marketing activities I could do with my time. But like, honestly, for me, the Thursday evening is like, great. I'm gonna see my buddy.
Yep.
I'm gonna jam with him. We're gonna sing, hey, what's going on in your life, whatever, and then having a good time. That's really the only thing that kept me going, really, honestly, is you.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. And I can say the same. And there's a side benefit too. I mean, let's forget all of the wonderful clients and course subscribers that we have gotten to meet really through the podcast, and QuickMail users and whatever. All that stuff's beautiful, and we appreciate it. But for me, in addition to having a good time with a pal, that when we hit record, is it feels like I get to take out my brain, put it on this table, and Jeremy, you kind of get to poke things and challenge ideas, maybe agree with some, but then take the same sentence I look at and be like, well, what if it was here? And it feels like such a valuable refresher to make sure that I don't get stale with how I view cold email, cold outreach, and sales, even business growth. There's a lot of conversations, Jeremy, that we have off air that I'm sure everyone would want to tap into, because we say like, hey, what's going on with Salesforce? What's going on with QuickMail? And that's honestly maybe just as valuable, if not more, for me as a co-host.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair point. Like, I've been learning a hell of a lot from you, because you have a huge, well, first of all, you're really comfortable in actually crafting really great cold emails. Like, I like your style of speaking. I like your style of, presenting some of the ideas and so on. And I learned a lot also in how to do good prospecting, because one thing that I don't think people listening to the show really kind of understand is like, sure, when you're listening to the show, you kind of learn from us, but we're also learning from each other. It's like,
very true.
I'm not doing the show on my own. Otherwise, it will have only my half. And it's really a gift to be able to also listen to your half, Jack, and kind of like understand. It's like, oh yeah, that's true. I didn't think of that. And especially when we bring some points, we have a few points in common, but some of the points like, oh, I didn't think of this one. That's good.
I feel like we probably overlap 70% of the time. Yeah. Where, about 7 out of 10 things I'll say, you'll be like, yep. And
that's right.
Like this example.
Yeah.
But then the necessary 30, and I'm sure there's like studies where that you want a good mix, not too much of the other. Another kind of like fun transition I feel like you and I have made is how we conduct guest interviews.
Oh, that's a good one too.
In the beginning, we were like, let's do all the guest interviews possible. And what did we find out? That like sometimes it's not as fun.
No.
Even if the guest is amazing, a 6-figure consulting speaking fee, they're not that much fun to join in on a conversation. And we've pissed off a few guests, I think, in our
not sure we did. I probably would
episodes.
That's me. That's my style. People can get robbed on the wrong way. But what I do remember is at some point, like you were really into, hey, let's get this person on the cast and so on. And I realized that, man, I'm starting to lose the reason why I'm doing this cast is to, to jam with you, to see a good friend, and then just, just enjoy speaking about a topic. And suddenly it was like, oh yeah, well, I don't get to enjoy about the topic I want to talk about. And it's like someone else on our cast. I don't get to speak with Jack. It's like, I lost this. And at some point I remember, I'm not sure if I sent you an email or I talked to you. I say like, can we actually put it on pause? Getting people on a show, or was burning myself in a sense.
100%. So, and again, if you're listening, I thought it was surprising, but true that too many guests took some of the fun out of the experience for Jeremy and I. And so what did we do? Instead, we backed off on the number of guests that come on. And then we also started saying like, hey, guests, like, yes, you're this big, big deal. Yes. But when you come on our show, I forget how you worded this, Jeremy. Like I think you have no punches pulled. Like, how do you say it? Like,
I think I said something like, you're coming to contribute to our conversation.
Yeah. As an equal, like, round table, right?
Yeah. I was like, we are two experts talking of one thing. We just would like to speak with you and not just your story, right? Like, and I remember very strongly because when we decided that, and we had one of our first, interview guests, he was like talking about like his stuff. Like, obviously, people, who are used to do interviews, they repeat the same thing over and over again. So they're very used to.
That's right.
And you sort of like interrupt that guy and say, oh, excuse me a second. And he said, Jeremy, what do you think of that? And I was like, oh, and it was like such a different dynamic. And I remember the speaker being very surprised, like, well, I come to share my expertise. What you guys are talking about? And we were like, just together. That was funny.
And it works more than half of the time. And in fact, we've gotten really, I remember Nathaniel Bibby was someone, for example, he was like, wow, this is actually a really great format. This is cool. Yeah. In fact, this is behind the scenes, but if you look at the YouTube video Nathaniel posted on his page, for some reason, we sent him the unedited version, and you can see me in the background going to like get water. And I'm talking to my headphones like, hey guys, how's it going? At like literally like the halfway 32-minute mark. And like, then it's like, oh, this is really cool. You guys just, hang out. And he published that without editing that out. And it's fine, cool. But that kind of, it gives you a little sneak peek. But yeah, kudos, Jeremy. I'm not as, I like being direct, but you have a way of just like, I actually don't care if you're going to take this really bad or not, but, and to be able to say that to anyone.
I always thought like, whoever wants to take it one way will take it his way. So it's like, people like to be offended. Well, fine. Whatever you're going to say is going to offend them. And some people that are my crowd is like, they won't care that much. And I can just, be me. And that's fine too. I remember one interview. Do you remember there's only one interview we did? At the end, you say, nah, I don't want to publish this guy.
I do. And I was man. Okay, and like fine, weeks after, he emailed me like, hey, so when's it coming out? Yeah. And I'm like, whoops. And yeah, so how about that? So call it, a couple dozen guests, only one doesn't get published. And it's mostly because there was such a disagreement with our philosophy and what this person was pitching. It felt a little.
I like the one who insulted your ears.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Check out that episode on, what is it? Becoming an authority figure or something.
Oh, I don't remember who it was, but it was like apparently entertaining.
What's weird, Jeremy? It's like, I must have had my headphones off for that because otherwise how could you see my ears on the...
That's true. And I think it was like, it was not even tiny or something. I think it was like tiny here or big here. One of those two, and you were like,
just
not like
strange. That. Just strange. Oh my God. And we've also done a few in-person episodes.
Yeah.
We did some Japan recordings. We did a few in Switzerland. Right. I went to check out Jeremy's hometown.
That was awesome. I need to come.
Those were great. Yeah. What? It's really nice to have Zoom, right? We pull it off, but in-person stuff I mean, like, how can you top ending recording and then going to hit a batting cage in Shinjuku or something?
Oh, that
Like,
was
that's
awesome. Yeah, good stuff.
yeah.
Do you remember the blanket over to make sure the sound was
Yeah,
make
not
sure
all
there
of it
was no
has been
echoing?
glamorous, by the way. Yeah. What speaking of that, I have a behind the scenes story. So during 2000, now I can come clean because it's been a couple of years, right?
Okay,
But
okay. What is
during,
that?
let me think for a
I'm
second.
curious.
During 2018, yeah, my wife and I, we did a world trip, and I was actually out of the country for a year and
Oh
a
yeah, yeah,
half.
yeah, yeah.
So we came back like April 19, something like that. And I met you in Japan May 19. So between basically
Mhm.
all of 2018 and May of 2019, I was out of the country, and we kept the podcast going. Jeremy, thank you for being so flexible. When I
Yeah,
remember
that
we were
was
doing
fun.
like a course recording, and I was going to the Maldives where they didn't have like good Wi-Fi at all, and we had to just email every course like subscriber and say
Oh
we're gonna
yeah, I
have to push
remember.
a week. I thought I was gonna get murdered, and I
Yeah, it's
didn't. But
fine.
speaking of a blanket, I remember there's a few episodes of the podcast, probably around like episode 120, um,
To
that
be
was
specific.
recorded in I'll call it like basically on one of those SIM cards that get you Wi-Fi wherever, plugged in with a laptop to like a car charger with this microphone and a blanket on top in an SUV, like trying to just not lose that the rhythm that we had.
That's
And
funny.
so far nobody said, Jack, what the hell happened to this? Your
Well,
audio,
it's
I can hear
funny.
kangaroos in the background.
That's right. Not many people complain about things, and I mean, we step up our game in terms of quality of sound, of visual. I mean, like this is an example of it.
Yeah.
Um, but at the end, this is not really what I remember. I remember also at some point we switched to YouTube. Like we were like,
Oh, that's right.
yeah, sound is nice because obviously all the things you were saying, like I was seeing you, but obviously, our listener didn't,
You can hide
know
it.
you were like, hiding in like with your mic and
Hey,
stuff.
this is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
But
funny.
why did we switch? What was the draw to YouTube? And
I think that was for the
yeah.
audience mainly, like everything was happening on YouTube, and I think now I'm loving it more and more. I mean, we still have quite a lot of listeners on just purely audio, the podcast,
Yeah.
yeah. But I like the YouTube. I don't know. It's fun. Like I get to see you in proper setting,
Yeah,
and then we're
and
jamming. It's fun.
it adds, I think, more. It's like I'll pull up something Nathaniel Bibby said. He's like, I've been writing a lot. I've for many years I've been doing like social media posting for many years, but it's only when I started using video as a channel that people would actually stop me in the airport and buy me a cup of coffee. Like you're not going to
Nice.
read an email newsletter and say, "Oh, that's the guy." I mean, first you won't recognize him, and second, you might not be as close to those people. Like so video I think allows you into our spaces a little bit,
Yeah.
even if it's just this view, so that we're a little closer.
There was one actor that said, I don't know exactly
Will
who
Smith.
it was.
Will Smith.
Maybe
Yeah.
it was
When
Will Smith.
you're a TV star, when you're a movie star, and when you're a rapper or something, is that?
No, I think it was more like the thing I wanted to say is like those guys want like a picture with you, they treat you like friends and so on, even though you don't know them. But you say, but of course, because they invited me in their home, to watch a video with them in
their
in the
living
living
room.
room, right? Exactly. And so of course for them you're their friend type of thing, but even
Sure.
for you don't know them, right? So I think that's
but it feels like that. Yeah, and I think it's multi-channel. Look at us, YouTube and then whatever it's a bit of a different set of audiences. Some prefer video, some prefer audio, but yeah, it was a good move.
So
even though it requires cleaning up the background a little bit and extra haircuts.
Yeah, and I put the lights every time, but How many continents did we recorded the podcast on? Obviously
Yep.
Europe,
So
obviously
Europe,
America,
Asia,
Asia as well, of course.
And Australia.
Australia, yep.
And then South America. Yeah, so 5.
You did Africa,
South
right?
America.
Didn't you? Like
oh yeah, and Africa. Yeah, that's right. That's
South
right.
Africa, right? Mm-hmm.
South Africa and Morocco, we did some episodes.
That's right.
So this has been 5
and
continents.
Mexico or something like that. I think
yeah.
we did them.
Yeah. So we got North, South,
Antarctica.
Europe, Africa, Australia, Oceania, if you count New Zealand. Yeah.
Oh, I did Canada, I think once, right?
Okay.
I
think so. When you did the
team retreat.
The mastermind.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
team
mastermind.
retreat.
The mastermind. You're right. That was the mastermind. Nice. Okay.
So
pretty much all of them.
Okay. Any other, looking back, I'm curious if we could talk about like maybe what's changed.
Yeah, another thing that changed for me. So we had the move to YouTube. It's funny how we never really intended those sort of like change ahead, of time. So we kind of like were pretty organic with like, hey, I got a new idea, want to check, and then we checked, and it's like, okay, let's stick with it. The other one was the 10-minute timer. We realized that our episode was taking like way too long. I'm like, do we really need that much time to actually give an idea? And it turns out, no.
Right. And think about this like 80-20 rule is going to say 80% of your gems come in 20% of the time. So what happens if you just force yourself into this constraint? Happily, you don't say less good ideas. They're just said a lot faster, I think. Yeah, I know we've gotten good feedback on the shorter format, so that, they're kind of meant just to plug in 1 or 2 on your way to the office or when you're on the treadmill, get a little bit better each time. Yeah. I'll give one more shout out here. There was a couple of really like jaw-dropping stories that listeners would send us, but probably my favorite, and if this person's listening, it's you. There was a young adult, we'll say, that messaged me from Brazil, and he said that he was in engineering school and he was just about to graduate and was doing internships and absolutely hated engineering. Like, he was at this point where he's like, I'm nearly at a degree in a thing that I can't stand and I want an alternative. And he said that he came across the podcast, checked out a few episodes, got hooked on it, and he told me that when he emailed me, he had been able to stop his engineering program and get enough cold email clients for his own Brazilian cold email agency to completely forego any downside that would have happened from the traditional career path. And he, to put a cherry on top, his brother and him ended up teaming up, and now they're doing great work in Latin America for cold email outreach. And he was like, if it wasn't for the podcast and the course, like I'd be an unhappy engineer. And it made my year. Like, if nothing else happened, that's a pretty cool story.
It is a very cool story. Very nice.
I love that.
It's good when you can influence, the life of people in a very good way.
Yeah. And I reckon, if we got a handful of emails like that in our 300 episodes, there's probably, 2 or 3 times that didn't necessarily reach out, but may have had their lives, changed for the better because they found this new opportunity here, either, starting an agency or using it to get their basement project off the ground and get their first 100 customers that allowed them to quit their job. I mean, that's why we're all here, right?
Yeah. I wonder if we ruined any life, by
like if somebody's tried cold emailing and got sued.
That's right. I had to pay like a big fine for doing cold outreach. Well, I just followed, Jack and Jeremy's advice.
Well, we're also pretty clear that like we are not lawyers and we're not even like
cover your ass.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's not to cover your ass. It's more like to say like do it, but I think you and I are far more focused on results. Like, like do due diligence, but honestly, that should probably happen at a different stage. Like once you decide this is the path you want to go down it. And even if that did happen, I don't know if I would consider like a CAN-SPAM lawsuit as like life ruining. It's possible.
Let me give me let me make a few phone calls. Yeah, it's Jack Reamer. Yes.
Did I ever tell you, Jeremy, about the first like the first terrible cold email reply that I received?
Oh,
that
I remember you were
the
scared.
crap out of me.
Yeah,
It did.
I do remember that.
In fact, when was that? I forget what it was. It made me change how the business was set up in a certain way, or maybe how closely I paid attention to CAN-SPAM. I forget exactly what I did. It may have been setting up a different LLC.
I will report you to the Bureau of Better Business or something like that.
Better Business Bureau and the Marketing Association for Legislative Action or some. And by the way, that was for a campaign selling to, who do you think, Jeremy?
Lawyers.
Yeah. Lawyers. It's going to be one of, look, they're a great niche, right? But they're a sharp audience to go after. So just have a thick skin.
Well, I do remember my first campaign where I got plenty of shit in my face. It was when I contacted doctors, and I took you, and I say your client, your customers instead of their patients, and they gave me plenty of shit for that. Dude, at the end, it's the same thing. Anyway,
of course, but what else is it? It's
when you don't say doctor,
you don't address me as doctor, right?
They spend 8 years to gain that small 2 letters in front of their name, so they get very annoyed when you don't recognize their efforts.
True. It's very true. But you know, it's been kind of fun, like as setting up so many different like cold outreach campaigns, Jeremy. I know way too much nifty tidbits about way too many different industries.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And speaking of that, like it may be worth, who are the greatest people to cold email besides Derek Sivers?
That's right. Derek was a cool guy that we had on the podcast.
And he replies, really cool highly recommend it.
Yeah.
No, but
I do remember also Dan Martel. That's really how I got to know him. For the first time, I had no idea about this guy existed before.
Sure.
And I've been following him since. And interesting.
Yeah, he was a client of ours. That's how he came on the show.
Yeah. You told me actually. Yes,
I
remember.
Really cool. And what else? Oh, what do you think the greatest audience to reach out to, Jeremy? I'm thinking of a specific country that loves to reply to cold emails.
In a good or in a bad way?
Good way. Not necessarily positive or negative, but they will respond. Like they're just on
Let's say India.
Interesting. I'm thinking of Europe. Specific
French, because then you will get only insults.
No.
Or Germany, they will threaten you.
Netherlands has such a high response. I think they're just happy. Also Danish campaigns. Yeah.
Oh, what a lovely
I don't know why.
An email.
I don't know why. It's these tidbits. All right. So Jeremy, I've enjoyed Memory Lane. Is it worth like a look ahead?
I was thinking the same. What's next then? What's next for us? Well, episode 400, of course, in 2 years.
A VR, the cold outreach experience.
We only get to do those episodes every 2 years almost, right? So indulge us. 100. If this episode is boring, you go to the next one. It's for us anyway.
No, I think...
Where will be the 400? Where will be? Okay, let's start with that. Where do you guess the 400th episode will be?
We'll have to do a blowout, and it should be back in Tokyo where it started.
I'd love that, right?
Yeah. That's what I'm
500
thinking.
must be in Tokyo. Like it's almost like 500,000.
Yeah. Sounds good to me. I just wonder, like, let's say somebody digs this up in year 2100. They're going to put on
I'll be dead,
episode.
Right? Yeah, likely.
Definitely.
Well, yeah.
Well, okay. We might
We
be
don't know,
very,
but
very old or dead, but either
yeah.
way, what are they going to say about this? They're going to be like, can you believe these tactics these old-timey marketers were sharing?
You know what I think? Like, when was the last black and white episode you watched? Right? I think no one will watch it. I think it's over. Sorry, everything we're doing is for nothing.
Well, I think it's for nothing. That's interesting. You don't think there's like a really great show that will be consumed in the future? I mean, you read very old books, don't you? You've read a book.
Books are not
How
the
to Win
same.
Friends.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's not the same for books, right?
Correct.
Good point.
So it could be that they
the
will
medium
be
will change.
Maybe this is what it is. They'll take the whole library of every podcast episode ever recorded. They'll transcribe them perfectly, right? And then when you're Googling something in 100 years, it will just like have this 40-second audio clip from the leading expert in the world, and you just play it, and you have like the nugget. Yeah, you won't listen to an episode. You'll just like search phrase for a nugget, and then you'll get it.
I think you wouldn't need that. I think you'll have like probably AI, helping you for doing everything, and then the AI will listen to us.
The AI will listen to it.
But not people anymore. It's over, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right. You're probably right. All right. Let's steer the ship towards a little bit sunnier waters here.
Let's go back closer. Let's say 400. So it's in 2 years' time. All right. Well, it would have changed in 2 years' time. We'll know a bit better about what happened with the auto warmer story. That's the one of the show. But you remember we were like in Tokyo in February, like for February 2019?
No.
We were just after, right?
Yeah,
like in April or
right.
something like that.
April.
And then in February, the shit hit the fan, and then the World Wide West was over, right? It's like, okay, I can't send 600 emails every day, or contact 600 people every day with one single inbox anymore.
That's right. That's right. Boy, those were fun days, Jeremy. I really enjoyed
I wish
that.
I took more advantage of it. Honestly, when you look back, it was so easy, because now it becomes like the floor keeps getting raised. So
correct.
You don't really get it, but it's like you're thinking like, man, it's the same for trading. Like I was talking with traders, like old traders, and they were saying like, man, at the time the margin was like big and fat, and now they're like razor thing, and say it's not fun anymore. I think what's interesting is I wish I took more advantage of that, right? I wish I
just sent millions.
Yeah, exactly.
Millions.
Like, doesn't give a crap. Let me send. Imagine that press inbox rotation.
Oh man, that would be the perfect storm.
Email a day, every day, saying like, "Hey, you need that for your business? Go quick mail, man."
100%. So, wow, I remember the process at SalesBread 1.0. This is like 2016 or something, maybe 15 too. Like, 15 for sure. It would be like, all right, cool. What's your domain? I'm just going to buy immediately, and I'll put the word get in front of your domain name. I'll buy a .com, and then I'll set up a brand spanking new Gmail, and we're going to rock and roll with, I'm just going to dump 900 prospects that are probably a fit. I remember list building back in those days, Jeremy. It was like, oh, cool. You're selling to healthcare industry.
Let me just grab the 6 million people in the healthcare industry.
That'd be 30 people in the same company. Great. Boom. Dump them all in. And,
2014 was the time where people apologized for not following up on time with you.
Wow. Yes.
I'm really sorry. This is my bad. I'm terrible at following email. Thank you so much for sending me a follow-up. It was just
true,
bump
Jeremy?
emails.
Did you really just... Yeah, that's true. Did you didn't invent cold email, did you? Or did you invent automation aspect of it?
No, but we actually opened the market with 2 other of my competitors. I think there was Outreach.io, and there was another one as well. I I'm unsure which one, so I don't want to say it. But we were
Yeah.
like 3 to open this new market,
Wow.
basically. And now we
Incredible.
got like hundreds or by the dozen, whatever.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
But it's still fun. I still enjoy it.
And I mean, that's worth its own cast right there. Just the journey of like the product evolution from creating the market or helping create the market and, you know, maturing, right?
We're doing a blue ocean because there was like marketing automation and sales, but they were like individual sales, you know, emails, and there was like marketing automation.
Right.
And so it was this merge of those two industry into one, and I created this blue ocean.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. And so, Jeremy, I think I want to end with the story how you and I got acquainted here. And I know I've told you years ago, right? It may be a refresher or new news, but I'll never forget it. I had done a Clarity call when I was, again, we're going back a ways. Clarity call with some marketing consultant, asked him some questions, and a couple of weeks later, this said marketing consultant was like, hey, I was living in San Diego at the time. I'm going to be in San Diego doing a conference. Why don't you come by? I'll introduce you to a few other, you know, digital marketing people. Might be fun. I show up. And by the way, if I didn't show up, we wouldn't be here. So that's like the first, brain explosion I have. Yeah. So I show up. I don't know anyone. I'm like, this may be a total waste, but let's see what happens. I get introduced to this guy named Jason. Jason happened to be QuickMail user number 15.
I could figure
or
it out,
something. Yes. Yeah, you could figure it out. But
Jason something, heart something.
To be honest, I don't even remember.
He was one of the, I think it's the one you're talking about. He was one of the 10 people to look at the very, very first version of QuickMail. Like I did like what is it, like a team chat or whatever, a Hangout. It was a Hangout on Google. And then there was like just 10 of them to demo the first version of QuickMail. So like it was a couple of scripts. Yeah, you click here, and then you have it, and it solves your problems of automation by email.
So that's what he told me. He goes, hey, I'm using this thing called QuickMail. This dude, Jeremy, made it. It will blow your mind. All I do, I dump all these prospects in, it automatically sends emails. And he told me his script. It was like he was selling PPC services. So he would just scrape a list of companies from Google that were advertising for random keywords, and he'd dump them into QuickMail, and it would say, hey, I saw a problem with your Google ad. Looks like it's costing you money. Should we talk? And he goes, every day I just get new people, business owners that want to talk. And he's like, it's gangbusters. You got to try it. So, so
cool.
I was like, oh yeah, I'm just like a regular email copywriter. I could check this thing out. This cold email. It's like, ooh, is that spam? But I'll check it out. And then I signed up for a trial. I don't even want to share pricing, what it was like early days, but it was different. And I remember you got an extra 2-week trial if you mentioned the book, right? And so I read your book. I checked it out.
I didn't know you read my book. The book is still here.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And I was like, this is the
thing.
The cat's ass. Holy crap. And shortly after that, you gave me an offer that was basically buy something and you can get access to this mastermind. That's right.
Yes, exactly. Buy QuickMail for a year, and we'll do a mastermind together once a week.
That's right. Cool. And I had started this little agency as I was transitioning from just freelance email copywriter to guy who has an agency trying to figure a bunch of stuff out. Cool. And I'm on this mastermind. You're like, oh, okay, this is kind of interesting. And then I don't know why the hell I was starting to like write about cold email. And again, this is 2014, and I was approached by what could have become a like enterprise kind of Udemy, like they sell to Coca-Cola professional training.
Okay.
Right. And they were like, hey, Jack, we're looking for cold email experts that can help us create a course. Can we pay you to make a course and we'll sell it to our enterprise clients? And I was like, yeah, that's neat. But I was like, but a lot of the stuff I've learned, I learned from this mastermind group with you, Jeremy. I was like, is that kosher? And you were like, why don't we just do one ourselves?
I don't recall this story. So that's cool.
This is ways.
Recall, yeah, I remember. What I do recall is that out of the mastermind group, you were the one that was sort of like the most keen to learn things, and you pushed me to actually, well, can I get data on that? Or like, what is QuickMail, user like doing better and so on. I'm like, man, this guy is cool. And I think, we sort of like connected quite like quickly. And I'm like, yeah, and I don't remember exactly how the podcast is born. So that's probably what
I'll tell you. No, tell you.
Oh, right. Okay.
So during the mastermind, I asked you like, hey, they've asked me to make this course for their behalf. And you're like, why don't we just do one? I'm like, dude, that sounds amazing.
That sounds like
me. And so, yeah. So you said like, let's kind of do like some Skype sessions. We used to do Skype. And you go, all right, how about this? How about we meet on Skype and we map out the course contents first. And we started doing this and you're like, you know what, there's something here. I'm going to be in Japan. Why don't you come meet and we'll do this thing, right?
That I remember. And I say, hey, come and meet me. I'm in Japan. Why don't you come? And you're like, yeah, I'm coming. And I'm like, wow, awesome. And I remember the first time I saw you, I was like, I don't know. It was awesome. Like, seeing an old friend. It was like, boom, straight away.
No, it was amazing. It was really cool. You had your camera. That's true. Hold on, let me think for a second. Oh yeah, and the mastermind. I don't know if you knew this, but the time zone was all whacked out because you were traveling.
I was like in Australia and stuff. Oh, Australia was terrible for that.
And so I remember the mastermind started at 5 a.m. Pacific time. So I set my damn alarm and I was groggy as all get out, but so happy because changed my life. Absolutely. I mean,
it did.
It was this path, and then like post Jeremy just nice. With the help of like this thing called cold email. I mean, the door opened just like that story I told a little while ago. The engineer that found cold email, and it created a totally different existence and allowed us to just geek out on something we had fun with and got results, and it's been a blast ever since.
That's cool. Well, I think that's beautiful words. The fun thing is, I would not have started QuickMail if I didn't go to one entrepreneur meetups where he sent me an email and say, I met some guy for the first time. I think we hit it off as well. Same personality, really fun. And he sent me an email and said, you should check out this course, or you should check out this interview from one guy who explained how he was doing the entrepreneurship stuff. And I listened to the course, I registered to the course, or I listened to the podcast, I registered to the course, and that's how I started QuickMail as well. So it's funny, like sometime, your trajectory of your whole life is going to go to be affected by simple random events, right?
A single conversation.
That's right. That's all it takes. Oh, and that's beautiful because cold email is about opening new conversation. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful, yeah. It's been a blast. What can I say? I mean, I'm so grateful. And if you're listening to this amount of us rambling and being nostalgic,
we don't have any listeners. It's just you and me now. We lost them all.
No, but that is a big deal, and probably something that may have been better for the beginning. But it's cool that you're here and along our journey together. And thank you to the listener, and Jeremy, thank you to you for being such a fun co-host for so many years. 300, baby.
Grateful to have you, and awesome to have also listeners, and 300, baby.
That's right. Yeah. All right, I think we got some more tricks up our sleeves, so I'm happy to say this, but stay tuned.
That's right. I'm curious to see what this year has in it for us.
I can't wait, my friend. All right, well, I'm signing off and grateful over here, man.
Likewise. Thank you, Jack. Thanks, everyone. Bye.